Can you hear me now? Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me right now. And we can get started in just a second. Okay, so I think you can hear me. So let's get started with today's stream. So welcome everyone to this stream. Today I will be going over the TEKS 3.2a and 3.2b from third grade math, and I'll be focusing on a few star released problems. So the ones I'll be going over today will be the fourth problem from the 2019 third grade math star, the 27th problem from the 2019 third grade math star, and the fourth problem from the 2018 third grade math star. And let's just get started. So here's the first problem that I will be going over. So it says that the expanded form of a number is shown: 90,000 plus 200 plus 40 plus 1. What is the standard form of this number? So let's go and highlight some of the important things. So it's important to know that what they've given us is the expanded form, and this is the expanded form itself, and it's asking us for what the standard form is. So just quickly explaining some of these vocab terms. Expanded form is pretty much when it's given it to us like this, where every number only has one place value and each one has a different place value. And standard form is like how all these answer choices are, where it's pretty much how you would read the number or write the number in most cases. So first, let's look at this expanded form and start dividing it up into the place values. So first, let's talk about what the place values are. The place values are pretty much each specific value inside of a number. So the main place values that we will be talking about today will be, let me just write it at the top here, will be ones, tens, sorry about that, tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. These are the 5 main place values that I will be talking about in today's stream. And those are the place values that we can see in the problems that we will be working on today. So now let's first organize it the way that we would see it. So in each number, the most basic place value is just the ones. So that's the rightmost place value in any number. I'm just going to abbreviate it as O for now. And then the next place value you see is tens. So pretty much once you have 10 ones, that's equal to 110. So actually, just to keep things neater, I'll write tens in red. Let's just color code everything. And for hundreds, that's equal to 10 tens. So that would be, I'll write that in blue, the 8s for hundreds. And then for thousands, let me write that in green. I'll put a T. And then for 10,000s, I will use this colorful color here, and I'll just write T8. So now let's look back at this number and start seeing which number belongs in each place value. So let's start from the right. Let's start from the smallest place value to the largest place value. And so the first number we have is a 1. So if we start color coding it a little bit, the only place value that we have in the number 1 is just the ones place, and we have just 1. So we can move this 1 over to our organized place value diagram that we have on the right here. We can move that 1 over to there. And now let's go look at 40. There's just a 0 in the ones place. And in the tens place, we have a 4. So this number is for the tens place. So we can just put a 4 over here. And in 200, we have a 0 in the ones place, a 0 in the tens place. It's kind of difficult to represent that. And we have a 2 in the 100s place. So we can put a 2 here. And then last, let's move on to our number 90,000. So this one has a lot. So we have a 0. We have a 0 in the ones place. We have a 0 in the tens place. We have a 2 in the 100s place. We have a 0 in the thousands place. And last, we end up having a 9 in the 10,000s place. So in the 10,000s place, we will put a 9 here. And because we don't really have any real values for the tens place, since that's our thousands place, we will just put a 0 here. So now we can just go back and look at all of our answer choices and see which one works. So now we have a number written out on the right with all the place values, and it is just 90241. And we can put our comma here, and we can read that as 90,241. So we know that it's not 9,241. It's not 92,041. It's not 90,421. But it's 90,241. Does anyone have any questions on how I did this or anything in general about the concept? Please leave them in chat and I will get to them very soon. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I will move on to our problem number 27 from the same star, the 2019 third grade math star. And just like the last problem, this is the TEKS 3.2a. So let's just get started with reading the problem. And it says, which answer choice does not describe the number 7,140? So looking at the the keywords in this question. It's very important to remember talking about which one does not. This is an easy way for the STAR test to mess somebody up, but it is important to make sure that we are looking for what does not describe it. And we're trying to describe the number 7,140. So that number is a very important part of this problem. And let's first write out this number into like the same kind of diagram that we did in the last problem. So we'll have a ones place here. We'll have, let me just write out these four spaces. So then we'll have a tens place, which we'll write in red. We have a hundreds place, which we'll write in blue. And then we'll have a thousands place, which I'll write in green. I think I might have made a typo with the writing, but I'll use TH this time for thousands to separate it from tens. And now we can just start writing out the number itself into these spaces. So we have 0 in the ones place. We have 4 in the tens place. We have a 1 in the hundreds place and a 7 in the thousands place. So let's start reading through these answer choices. Since it's asking for which answer choice doesn't describe it, we'll have to read through each of the answer choices and figure out why it does not describe the number. So it says the sum of for choice A, it says the sum of 7,000s and 14 tens. So first, let's just write the number smaller here. We'll write 7,140 here again for this answer choice. And let's read the first part. It's saying that there are 7,000s. And that is true. We have a 7 in the thousands. And now that we've already dealt with that, let's just cross it out. And now it says, we can also put a TEKS here to say that that's true. And 14 tens. So what we need to do here is that because it doesn't say anything about hundreds, we need to include hundreds as additional tens. Because we have to remember the relationship between the different place values. 100 is the same as 10 tens. So for that reason, we can say that there's not just, if we put the different underlines to separate it, and we say ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We've already dealt with the thousands. And for the tens, let's circle the tens and everything to the left of it, which we haven't talked about yet. So now we have this 14 here. And what that's pretty much saying is that 100 and 4 tens is the same as 10 tens and 4 tens. And when we add 10 plus 4, that's 14. And that's the same 14 that we get up here. So saying that it's a sum of 7,000s and 14 tens means the 14 tens is correct. And we don't need to say anything else because we've already talked about this. We can cross it out. Now we just have a 0 left. And the 0 is pretty much just a placeholder, saying that we don't really need to say that there's 0 ones because that anyway doesn't have, 0 anyway has no real value. So we know that that answer choice A properly does describe the problem. So we can say that that's an incorrect choice because we're looking for what does not describe the number. Now let's go look at answer choice B. The sum of 7,140 tens. So again, let's write out the number again with the different underlines. Thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. And with that, we can say that yes, there are 7,000s, just like in the last problem. So let's cross out the 7. And now we have the 1, 4, and 0 left. 100. Yes, we have 1 in the hundreds place. We can cross that out and put a check mark. And 40 tens. Now, for the tens, remember, we can only take what's to the left of the place value if we haven't talked about it yet. So we can only circle this 4. We can't circle this 0 also because those are not tens. Those are smaller than tens. So we can only say that there's 4 tens. We can't say that there's 40 tens. We can only say there's 4 tens. And for that reason, this 40 tens part has to be incorrect because there's 40 ones. If let's say that we didn't talk about the tens yet, and we have 4 tens and 0 ones remaining, since we've already dealt with the 10,000s and hundreds, we can say, let's say we didn't have to calculate the tens and we go directly to ones, we have 0 ones plus 4 tens. So we can circle that and we see that it's the same thing as 40 ones. So that's 40 ones though, not 40 tens. So that's how we know that the last part of B is incorrect. And we can say that because the question's asking for what doesn't describe it, that might be a potential answer choice. Now let's move on to choice number C. This says that the sum of 7,100 and 4 tens. So, again, let's write out the number again. 7,140 with the 4 different place values. Ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. And we can say that there are 7 thousands. We can exit out from here. We can say that there is 100. We can exit out from here. We can say that there are 4 tens, since there's a 4 in the tens place, and cross it out. And again, just like in answer choice A, we just have a 0 left, and because it's just a placeholder, we really don't need to specifically mention it. So therefore, we can say answer choice C does properly describe the number 7,140, and for that reason it has to be wrong. Since again, we're looking for what does not describe the number 7,140. And last, we just have answer choice D left, which is the sum of 7,141. So again, we can write out the number 7,140 and say ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. And again, we can say that there are 7,000 since there's just a 7 in the thousands place. And there is 100 since the hundreds place is the next place and there's just a 1 there. And 40 ones. So in this case, we haven't talked about the tens place and we're skipping directly to the ones place. So again, what we can do is we can say that all of this is how many total ones that there are. Because 4 tens is the same as 40 ones. Because 1 10 is equal to 10 ones. So it's pretty much just like doing 10 times 4, which is 40. 10 fours. If we add 4 to itself 10 times, we would get 40. So, saying that there's 40 ones, which is exactly what we have here, we can say that this part's also correct in answer choice D, and because the whole thing properly describes the number 7,140, that means that this answer choice is also incorrect. And that only leaves B as a correct answer choice, as answer choices A, C, and D properly describe the number 2,140, but answer choice B has an issue where it says 40 tens, which there are not 40 tens. Does anybody have any questions about this problem? Just leave them in the chat and I will answer them. Okay, if we don't have any questions, I will just move on to our last problem for this stream. And this is the fourth problem from the 2018 third grade math star. And this one, unlike the last two, goes over TEKS 3.2b. The other two are 3.2a. So let me just position this problem well so we have plenty of space to work. And let's start reading through the problem and identifying the important parts. So which of these models represent the same number? So as you can tell, there are three different models: Model X, Model Y, and Model Z, each of them representing numbers in different ways. And the answer choices, we just have to say which ones represent the same number. So let me quickly explain how these types of models work. So first, let's highlight the things from the problem, of course. So it's asking which ones of these models represent the same number. So we have to find two models that are representing the exact same number, and then we have the three models, of course, which are very important. So the way that these models are shown is that they use something called units, rods, and flats. So the idea is that each one represents a different place value. I will put, so for a unit where I've just put a dot, it stands for 1. So it's pretty much one's place. A flat, which I'll represent with just like a long bar, this represents 1/10. So each bar would be 1 in the tens place. And each flat would be 1 in the hundreds place. So each unit is 1, each rod is 10, and each flat is 100. And additionally, in the future, you might even see cubes, and each one of those represents 1,000. But in this problem, we will not be talking about those. And let's start figuring out the value of each of these numbers using this. So let's count how many units are in model X. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we have 20 different units here. So let me use different colors for this. For X, what we have is we just have ones, and we have 20 of them. But keep in mind, when we're doing place values, we can only have one digit in each place value. If we have more than one digit in one place value, that means that we need to create a new place value to move that number to. So we can just rewrite this into ones. We can put it into two place values. We can have ones and tens. So we can just keep the 0, the rightmost number, in the ones place, and we can move this 2 over to the tens place. So now we have that the value of X is just the number 20. So now let's go look at model number Y. So first, let's count them again, just like we did for that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. This time, we have 20 rods. And if you remember, one rod stands for 10. So in model Y, we have 20 in the tens, but we have 0 ones. And again, like we were talking about, we can't have 20 in the tens place. We can only have one digit in each place. So we can rewrite this into hundreds, tens, and ones. So we can just put the 0 here that was already in the ones place. We can move this next 0 into the tens place. But since we have another 2 in the tens place, we can move that over to the hundreds place here. So each place value only has one digit. And now that we see this place value here, we can see that all this number means is 200. Because it's 2 hundreds, 0 tens, and 0 ones. Now last, let's just look at model Z. Here, we just have 1, 2. We just have 2 flats. And as we talked about earlier, 1 flat represents 100. So if we look at model number Z, we have hundreds, in which we have 2. We have tens, in which we have 0. And we have ones, in which we also have 0. And we know that we have 0, tens, and ones because there aren't any rods or units in our diagram. And in this one, luckily, all of the numbers are, all of the place values already only have one digit each. So we can directly just rewrite this as the number 200. So now that we figured out the values of these, we can now see that both model Y and model Z are representing the number 200. They both have the same value. And if you look back at the question, it's asking for which models represent the same number. So therefore, we know that it's models Y and Z that are representing the same number. So now if we go back and look at our answer choices, choice F says model X and Y, which just reading X and Y, we already know that it's wrong, since X we determined represents number 20, while Y represents 200. So we can already just X this out. Model G, or answer choice G, says that model X and Y represent the same number, which we know is wrong again, since we found out that model X represents 20 and model Z represents 200. So we can cross that out. Choice H says model Y and Z, and as we determined, both of them have the value of 20, meaning that model Y and Z are the same number. But let's move on and read the rest of the answer choice just to make sure. Model Y and model Z, because 20 tens is equivalent to 200s. And if you look at it, that is exactly what we ended up doing when converting it. We saw that this has, that in model Y, it's showing us 20 tens, which we were able to convert into the same 200s and 0 tens, which is just like a placeholder. So what we pretty much proved while solving that problem is that 20 tens is the same as 200s. And just like that, answer choice Z says 200s. So that means that answer choice H is completely correct, we can say. And answer choice J just says none of these, which we already proved that model Y and model Z both have the value of 200. So we know that it is not none of these. And the answer choice must be H. Does anybody have any questions about this problem? Just leave them in chat. Okay, so if we do not have any questions, I think we will conclude this live stream. So just letting you all know that very soon we will start our 5th grade science live stream. So if you're interested in that, be sure to join that live stream. It will start very soon. And we will be doing more math live streams also in the future. So just make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll never miss any streams. And thank you all for joining.